Hi, Pratima, and welcome to the Torchbearer Thursday. So, for the audience who's watching us, this is season 2, episode 17 of the Torchbearer Thursday, where we showcase individuals who come and talk about the astounding work that they're doing since the pandemic began last year. So, initiatives and activities that started after pandemic is what we showcased on season 1, and then we thought that the pandemic was gone and we didn't need to do it, so season 2 was about other individuals doing torch bearing work, not necessarily related to COVID relief. uh, Pratima, our guest here, has been in the US since 2004, and she's come to us all the way from Boston. And thanks to doing this digitally, and thanks for us to be having learned to do recorded events, we have the privilege of having Pratima Penumarthy with us today. So thank you and welcome again, Pratima, for making time at the end of a long and a hard day for you to have this conversation.
Thank you, Deepa. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deepa. I cannot tell you how much I have to thank you, because it's amazing what all you do for your community. And of course, I've been watching all your shows, and it's really wonderful, so enlightening that every time I listen, and I feel that that's what each individual should really take, that zeal that you have. That's what everybody needs to learn about it. I'm way excited to be here today and learn so much from you too.
So Pratima, thank you. And your background as a student of psychology, right? And initially, was it or economics? What was your subject when you're?
When I was in grade. Yeah, actually, I did my undergrad in engineering in electronics and telecommunications, and then I did definitely psychology. I worked on that line too. After coming to US, I did my master's in science in specialization in education from Minnesota University, and again did a couple of other degrees, which is all education based, because that's one thing whatever you take out of me, it's always I'm educated at heart. So I made sure that whatever I do, the other master programs or any other degrees too, it has to be related with education. Yeah, that's what I did.
And you had a venture that I was particularly excited and following very closely, which is your daycare centers. So you want to tell us about how that venture began and you continued, and that's also been an inspiration so much and shaped so much of the work you do presently.
Oh yeah. And after I did all these courses and everything, I realized one thing is that there's so many things when one can learn and teach. And because I am very much connected with STEM. So I was like, STEM is one thing which started for my children. I started everything like I don't want to put them in any other childcare centers where they teach, but they don't basically teach with respect to STEM. That's one thing I was very much concerned about. So I initially started in 2008 just for my own children, so that I can teach them whatever they want to learn, but it has to be with respect to technology and engineering. But then later on, I realized that it is so much important whether I teach them with respect to Montessori pattern or any other pattern to other kids too. This is how they're going to expand their knowledge, learn more about things. If you teach according to, not only according to state patterns where you have a certain type of curriculum, but you have to mix STEM in that education. And that's what I've been doing all the way from 2008. Even now it's still running, and I have leads with me, and we run in a very different environment now. But it looks, for me, it has been from depth, that unless and until you learn from preschoolers, you learn a lot how you can even treat eventually down my lane. Now what I'm doing for elders, what I do for other community help I do. It has to do everything. The base definitely comes when you start teaching the younger kids.
So you have a really last year, I think somewhere you got the inspiration to start this initiative, volunteering for seniors. So how did that idea first spark off inside of you?
That's a good question. Actually, for me to begin with, for me, giving to others always kept me mentally stimulated. It always provided me a sense of purpose. Volunteering has always helped, take my mind off from my worries and keep me mentally stimulated. It always added just to my life. And it also gave me memories, I know that last forever, right? When I first, there are a couple of things which has happened even before entering into volunteering for seniors, is that I started a different support group for elders, because that is with my own experience of having my mom and dad with me, and my watching my mother fight cancer, and what are the different things I underwent, getting resources for my parents, and what all different angles I had to reach, whether it is the different health programs, the healthcare centers, where I had to go and find out what are the different things that will help them in hospice, and how to interact with the doctors when I'm talking with my parents about their health. That's the time I realized that most of the elders in US, which is basically the Indian community based, I'm saying, they were less, which I could find out, do my own research. So in the year like 2017 or 18, beginning of 2018, I started, caring for, caring for aging for Indian American way. That's a group which I started. It's basically a forum where I basically talk about is how you should take care of elders, because that's one thing most of them are, when it comes to caregiving, it is so exhausting that everyone is like, hey, we love our parents, but we don't know what's the next step. It requires, everyone knows that unending patience is needed, a lot of ending, learned compassion is needed, but they never understood where exactly to go and get any concerned resources for it. What I made here, in that little group of forum, and then when people even approached me, is that they had a talk with me constant, and we had a small group sessions where we talked that caregivers, we learned that they continually they learn new skills, and they can do things which they never thought they would have ever, they would ever have to do, like, changing diapers of their parents, or even helping aging parents bathe, So when we have this type of group, automatically, we see that some of the caregivers' stress level has increased double. So that's where we come across and we say, hey, you know what? You're burnt out. It's a job which is burnt out. It's a common problem among all of those, those tasked with caring for nature. So in most cases, if you look at it, adult children or caregivers, they have to balance, right, the demands of their own lives, their careers, the families against the needs of the person they are caring for, which ultimately leads to stress, anxiety, even depression. And I've seen people in my group who talk about physical exhaustion, some have even guilt, and even the physical health problems from, lack of exercise, self-neglect. So these are things which we talked about, like, let's come together and we need to take time that you take care of your loved ones, but we need to talk about one another, how we can support you, and ways how we can connect and finally share one's experiences with the people in similar circumstances. That was one of the main reasons why I was very connected with that group. And that's eventually from that, I started, like, after we started running towards it, and didn't realize that it's not just that which is needed. What we need now is that there are a lot of elders in the community who are staying all by themselves, and they have no support, even to go out and get anything from from medical stores, even pharmacists, when they have to go, they have to drive all by themselves. And you know how the life here in US is like. Once they cross certain age, the kids are in different states here. They're not next to them. They're not here to say, okay, mom, I'll come here. Dad, I'm going to come and take you to the doctor's appointment. So they're lost. They're doing everything by themselves. So that's the time I realized, no, we need to do something else. Now we need to come forward, help these elders, and even not only just normal elders, but the vulnerable elders, have so many other health issues. To just be with them, to give more time to them, just to spend the closeness with them, have to one-to-one communication with them, reading books for them. It's more like, you become their own library for them, just like how you go to library. That's what they say, like, you have a people's library. So, there's so many things one can do. So that's the time I realized, like, now is the time we have to start an organization which will definitely look for elders. Because when I saw in depth, I find that these are the things, Deepa, I have particularly seen in my experiences. 20% of seniors will say that they need help with daily tasks. 20%. Some will say average. I'm saying that's average. People say issues with mobility, transportation, their own personal care, nutrition. They need someone to help them in all that. So that's where our organization comes into picture, where we say that we are here to help elders because we need them to stay energetic in their home, and in the community. And that's the whole thing.
And this idea, when it was getting formed, Pratima, Who were your sounding boards? I mean, were you sort of talking about this idea? Had you lived with this idea for some time, and then one day you sort of gave it some shape and you wrote down like a vision, mission, or how did you go about really birthing this idea? I'm quite curious.
Yeah, I mean, see, first of all, there was a question. Deepa, it's a very good thing you asked me, because there were high schoolers who once approached me, and they said they were talking about, I want to help elders, which was always there within me because I always wanted to, connect myself with elders. Always wanted to help. So when I saw these high schoolers, when they approached me and they say, "Hey, I want to volunteer," I said, "What do you want to volunteer? Whom do you want to go and help?" And they said, "We want to volunteer elders." So this is one thing I said, when you want to volunteer elders, do you know exactly the definition of what is a volunteer? What is it? Most of them don't know that. They just think like going and helping and just doing some activities, that's volunteer, right? That's not. Because I always tell them, a volunteer is, generally speaking, a volunteer is someone who performs activities which is intended to help others and also to improve themselves. It is not just going and helping someone. And again, it is not, you should not do anything for monetary compensation or any material gain, right? And it is not based on any obligation. It is an act of giving, or donating one's time and skills. Understanding a person's motivation for volunteering, that's the key thing, key important in placing him or her in the right volunteer position. And that's the time they realize, like, okay, we want to do for elders, like, and then there were points where they realized, the kids were like, "Hey, what should I do now when I do for elderly?" Then I always listed them and I said, "Look, if you want to volunteer, what do you think will stimulate you? That something that stimulates you is that you meet new people. Every day you volunteer with elderly people, or generally anything you volunteer, you gain new skills. Okay, you make a difference. You donate professional skills to them, right? And you're increasing your self-confidence altogether. And in the end for all these things, I always say, Deepa, is that you're going to have, you're using constructive use of time, right?
Beautiful.
And that's one thing I always say, is that once motivation, for volunteering, whether it comes to my organization or any organization that does for seniors, the best result will be, I'll tell you, it is same. You make a positive impact on others. You will be providing, I keep on telling this, that you'll be providing a much needed service to your community. And the development of all the different programs or volunteer programs, like what we have started to, like volunteering for seniors, it will definitely will have, it has substantially increased down the lane, the opportunity for individuals to use their time, their skills for the betterment of others, right? And that's one thing I always say, that to do anything, have some core value, and remember some core value. To do for this organization, your core value is humility. One of the
Yeah.
most humility, because for you, okay, oh, I need to, clean your yard. Yes, because in serving anyone, no job is below anyone, right? You have to come together. Yeah, you have to take him for groceries. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to take the elderly, the golden age person to library, right? If not library, you will just say, "I want to listen to music." Would you make him listen to nice music, right? Take him to musical activities, any activities that he or she loves. They need to first of all understand that you need to have a very positive attitude, and you have to be humble and very kind-hearted. These are the things which
And
I all, yeah.
And the elders who would be in your target group would really start, there would be, I guess, also classified as people who don't have any disabilities or, vulnerabilities, and you have the ones who are normal functioning, but, they're probably incapacitated because of age and not able to do or drive. So how do you classify your target? Are they like segments that you've put down for the
No,
elders?
basically, we would say that when anybody comes to volunteer, right, they have an application forms, they fill up all that, and then we say that we have an orientation that we do with all the volunteers, right?
Okay.
And we have a coordinator, a volunteer coordinator, who will be basically checking on all this and asking questions to the volunteers.
Okay.
So then that's the time we see, like, if a volunteer has slight experience, who has little bit experience of 1 or 2 years working with a vulnerable senior, right, who has some sort of age issues, or has any sort of illness, we connect them with that elderly senior. But if there is a volunteer who has never had any big experience working with an elderly, but had experience in different type of volunteering, we give them an option that what is that you would love to do. And if they say, for me, the best thing for me is I can help them in some chores in their house. Like what? We'll take all the list, then we work it out with that elderly senior. Does he or she require any sort of help? And then we try to actually connect what the senior asked for and how this volunteer can be useful for them. So we try to, really make connection because of the volunteer coordinators that we have with us. That's how we connect, and we check all that. We also do their, the background checks, everything done, before we connect them to the senior.
And the age group of the volunteer would be what to what? Typically, you mentioned high school seniors, but typically, what age group would it be?
In this country, actually, here in US, we can start, the kids can start volunteering right from they're 13 years old. They're okay to volunteer. But we look at the different type of level of volunteering they'll be able to do. Like basically, if they want to drive them, right? If they want to drive them to, say, their medical hospitals, or to take them to pharmacies for something, they need to be definitely 16 years and above with the driver's license. That's the only place we ask volunteers to have license for it. It's driving license. Because any sort of volunteering help that we tell them to do for the elders, that will be unlicensed type of job. They can ask them, could you do some sort of, fixing my stove because it has some issues? We can't do that. Because that everything requires your license. So we said any one job which is not licensed is, it's not possible here. Only for driving is a license which is acceptable. That's one license we accept and say, hey, you're connected with an elder. Remaining any other license jobs, we cannot give them. That's not. So they're only engagement activities like playing with them, movies, taking them to physical activities. It's not exactly, not companionship, but just to have more fun with them, taking them to, as I told, not just libraries. Most of them are even, they like to go to poker clubs. Okay, play pokers with them, then respite care. Because as you know, Deepa, all of us know, like most of the caregivers they're tired, taking care of their elders, their loved ones, and they don't take care of themselves at all. So we tell them, okay, you take care of yourself, you go to gym or whatever you want to do, and that's the time volunteers come for 1 hour and 2 hours in their place, and then they take care of the elders. So that's another thing we do. And there's so many task assistant activities too, like, help, as I told you, one is taking care of the yards, preparing meals. There's so many elders who stay alone. They're scared sometimes to prepare a meal for themselves. They're like, today I'm so tired, because of those medications, I'm not able to make my own meal. The volunteer can come. You don't require a license for that. They come and help them making a meal, or they can prepare it back home and they can get for them. So those type of things to our volunteers. Those are the task assistant activities.
Yeah, very, very helpful. And the way you've articulated it, did you also sort of, you've got a team, you've got like a bunch of you as part of a board or something? How is the organization structured now, Pratima?
Yes. So our organization is definitely, we have board of directors, then we have a president, we have secretary, we have the different officers, treasurer, all the different, and also, of course, starting with, I'm the founder, then we have co-founder, because my husband is a co-founder, Pratima Penumarthy. But again, I have in the board, we have a good number of physicians. Some are physicians, and some of them are into the research groups. So, and when I say research, even though they are into the, the science line of it, or research of physics or biology or biotechnology, all of them who are in the group are in a way connected with all the elders. So they have done before, they know exactly how you have to, the different situations they have faced and how we can help them. So every small conclusion that we come across, we always have a discussion with one another. We come to one main conclusion, again, this is the best thing to do. Even for considering, say, for volunteer coordinators, even when we do any sort of like, in the future, we want to do any charity organizations, any sort of charity dinners or any fundraising, all of us, we come together, come to one proper conclusion. This is how we have to do, and then we go out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how would the donations come for this program? How do you plan to sort of attract donors? Because I think it will also take a fair amount of time, and I know the volunteers are not going to be, but the office bearers will need to be compensated.
Absolutely. Now, if you look at it right now, in a position, everything comes from our team. We don't get anything from the government or federal. No one is giving us from the state or federal because we are still in a process of getting the filings done for the 501(c), which is important here to run nonprofit. We may get it sometimes by September, maybe it may even go till December. But still, donations are allowed because if donations come and by end of year, by December, everyone needs the tax. We need to send them the tax receipts and everything. That all will be sent by our organization because this process, how it runs, is even though officially we did not get the nonprofit status now, it will be coming because it is a long process. We are incorporated in the state. That means we are ready to start our business. So even though this is a business now to run, we are definitely, when I say incorporated, it means you can run your own business or start doing your non-corporation. So we are connected with non-corporations, not business. So even though if it's a completely non-profit organization, the process runs in a different manner. Now, everything goes from our pocket, even if you have to pay the fundraising things, if we are going to pay for the coordinators, the other people in our office, everything goes from our pockets. And eventually, when I say donations, people are always asked, they're always welcome to donate because this is nothing but a non-profit organization. So everybody can give checks here very happily, and by end of the years, they'll be getting the tax exempt for that. So that really helps for all donations. So we are planning now in this year to do, a couple of fundraiser things, fundraising events too. So that way, probably we may get good output. But the way we started right now is not expecting much, but we wanted to first give to the community, and then I'm pretty sure it will eventually come back.
So what are you dreaming up? What is your vision for this organization? How would you sort of define it?
Yeah, as I told you, the vision is, of course, making that every elderly person here, needs to live their happy, very fullest life, life full of happiness, and they never feel that we haven't accomplished that because we have this type of weakness in our life. Like I have seen, when I had personal conversations, with my town itself, I've been very connected with the elderly people here, and there are a lot of council of aging in our town, so and I made sure, to visit Council of Agings. And they're not only just in town, different towns here, every town has its own Council of Aging. So here, when we go and visit them, we do see that there are a lot of elders who have issues with, one is basically with the mobility part of it. So, and then they say, hey, we have mobility issues, so we can enjoy life. Maybe this is the only thing. I'm going to sit in the wheelchair and just do a couple of activities indoor. I don't think I can see the scenic beauty outside. That's when I thought, our volunteers, that's our vision too. If anything, they have not seen the beauty. They want to go and see some places, we can just take them there. And then there are a lot of people in the council, they feel like some of their elderly people need mental counseling. They need a lot of counseling. Even for that, we decided to take some counselors in our organization. So which they'll do completely for volunteering counseling. They're professional counselors, but they will come about and help. Coming to even geriatrics, we thought of we are having a lot of doctors who are ready to come and work with us as volunteers. So they are many geriatrics. They can go with us to those councils, to the aging group, and they can even counsel them for free. So these are the different things which is our vision. That's the final vision for me, is to make sure things which you miss. Not everybody is financially strong, to have all the different things like a lot of health issues. So they're not able to meet them. It's only required part they can do, remaining part they can't do. That's where we come into picture. We want to give them every opening for them. Don't worry about counseling. We have counselors here. Don't worry about the geriatrics. We have geriatrics who will take care of you. Don't worry that you cannot go and see beautiful places in this place. You can, we have people who can transport you there. So these are things. That's the main vision.
What I found very interesting is in the heart of even the naming of your organization, it says volunteering for seniors. So the emphasis is as much, I think, to develop individuals in society on how they can grow, young people can grow through the process and the activity of volunteering, as it also benefits the seniors. And I kind of find that very beautiful. And I sort of see the whole picture as something that can be really large and something that can get scaled up, because once you understand this model, Pratima, I think it can get replicated in the different countries of the world, isn't it?
Absolutely. We want to start it with Massachusetts. We want to run them all over nation. Already people have come forward and telling me like, hey, we want to volunteer, Pratima, and I also make an app, so that other places too, all over US. If they want to just check the app, just like how we have Uber and Lyft, if people want to just check it and say, hey, you know what, I have this is the thing that the member is the elder member, whoever are the seniors, they become the members for our organization, and then we have volunteers. These are the two sections of people we have. So
Okay.
eventually, that is our next step to go, is to create an app and not just be this state of Massachusetts. We want to broaden our spectrum, take it all over all the 50 states. And then that's the time, maybe in California, maybe in Michigan, anybody can just go and, through the app, they can find out, like, hey, I'm a volunteer doing all these things, get their background check done, everything done, and then we connect them immediately to the member who is within the community for him or her, but again, not too far away. Like, we are making sure that if the volunteer goes and takes, and helps that particular member, they have to be in the vicinity not more than 20 miles from their place. It has to be closer. It's not like they're going to drive 1 hour in their car and then come and take it. No, they need to be closer to. If there's any emergency, if that elderly person wants to meet him or her, they can run again and see them. So it has to be like almost like 10 to maximum 20 miles. So those are the things we want to consider. Yeah.
Pratima, you are such an inspiring person. I'm curious to know who or what inspires you and gives you this energy to keep going.
Can inspire me. The entire process, Deepa, whether it is my academy, which I run, which is, of course, my Math Academy, which has been running for a couple of years, so whether it's my preschool or whether it comes to my volunteering, the one who can always, be my support person here, gives my hum, always my pillar is my husband, Ramakrishna. And I would definitely say he inspires me, honestly, every step in my life, he's been supportive. He inspired me to pursue my dreams right from the so almost, I can say, for almost 23 years or 20, of our being married. He's always insisted that you have to do that what makes you happy, right? Regardless of the income that you may come. And that has really given me a bigger zone for, thinking like, hey, you know what? There's so many things that one can achieve, right? So there's a bigger spectrum. That thing keeps on growing bigger and bigger because you have a person in front of you giving that sort of leverage. Like, and I'm not simply telling that, not that it's not gender bias, that because husband says yes and wife has to say yes here, but you need to work together. Like, every part that I do, Deepa, he's the right hand for me. For this organization too, every time we consult each other and then we take a decision. It's not just completely my decision. For every small thing, even he consults with me and I consult with him and say that, hey, now is it the right time for me, to go and talk about this particular person or even have a research about this particular organization. So honestly speaking, he's my biggest cheerleader. He's everything. He's my best consultant. He has motivated. He is still inspiring and motivating me. Honestly, he motivates me to the better person every day. Because although self-motivation is important for everyone, sometimes our steam just runs out, right? We all need a person who's running alongside with us, telling us, we can keep going and we can cross that finish line. That's what I need always. So I'm so glad and thankful to God that I have a wonderful husband and my two daughters, who have been always there, even now for my organization. One of them who's still in college, she's a sophomore, and she is into, she's doing her business and finance. So she's helping that. Consider me, I'll be there. My older one just finished her graduation, undergrad, and planning to do her MCAT. But she's also telling, she'd be there for volunteering opportunities if any such volunteering opportunity she wants to jump in. So I think it makes a lot of sense when your whole family involves too.
Amazing. And I know, Pratima, you were unwell, and I think possibly I won't be surprised if your husband encouraged you to say, no, I'll take up some of your chores. Maybe you should just go and do this interview or something like that. Maybe he did it. I don't know.
Here. Unfortunately, he's gone to Virginia now. Otherwise, every time for any small thing, I always say, hey, why you are not here? If any interview comes to anything, I really miss him so much. And today, for the first time, Deepa, I'm doing this like he's not next to me now, but he's not Virginia. But yes, for everything. And I think both of us, we believe in core values that we do is anything we do is it's inclusion, right? And then do anything with collaboration and shared purpose. This is something we both have the same core values, openness and learning, and anything that we have to do is with sustained engagement, right? If we don't have that, if we don't have these core values, it's hard to live, right? It is hard even to try to live by. These are things which we actually have.
Wow, what a powerful session this has been. And I know this is just a 30-minute segment, but I know that we will be coming to you again at some time to talk about, the other aspects, which is your Vedic math and the math Arya Academy, as well as the other work you have done with the childcare centers, and really sort of a very transformational work as well. And the community work, how active you have been in the Indian American community for many years, and your impact. So, Pratima, for making time today and for coming and giving us this really mind opening talk. And I'm sure many people listening in different parts of the world, those who are listening to us on Thursday, as well as those who will listen later on, will possibly want to reach out to you for ideas or collaborate with you. You are active on social media, follow your handles, and I think derive a tremendous amount of inspiration on things that they can do, and a shift in perspective that you have given us on what volunteering really means, and the commitment it takes, and the rigor that you have put behind building this uh, non-profit. I wish you all the very best, Pratima. More power to you, more power to your wings.
Thank you, Deepa. I just want to end here by just saying one simple thing is that, as we all believe, it's not just me. I know there are amazing amount of volunteers throughout the world. And I think we all believe in only one thing is immersing oneself in community and surrounding oneself with people who are all dedicated to the betterment of the world. And I think only that's the way I have gained personally a unique sense of purpose. That's by serving those around me, one which often, it manifests in other areas of life. So that's the way I would just like to end this. First, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. And I believe, and I sincerely hope that, everyone who's hearing today would have gained some information from you.
Yeah, just the empathy and the sensitivity you bring to this whole, the perspective you give us about elders being like children. We didn't talk about that part, but I think it's so important to come with that core aspect of respect, but also with a tremendous amount of compassion and empathy and patience when you're doing elder care. So thank you very much for that. Bye
Big
bye.
thanks